Capricorn. Let's do this. Let's see what you're doing. Where's your energy at? We have these clouds out here. They're marbled. Or it looks like it's going to kind of rain, maybe. But then the other clouds that are marbled in there are really bright. So there's a dark and light aspect, which is apropos for you guys, being the devil that you are, right? A devil was an angel too. So there is a merging or blending of your dark and light aspects, maybe finding your purpose is within your challenges, or for instance, all right, this is more specific but whatever, shuffling, but if you were ever struggling with addiction, right, much lower vibration, the people that you met, the experiences that you had are going to make you the perfect person to tell them, to guide them, or they tell them, like, you know, don't be a boss, but you could be a boss or a leader, or maybe starting something up that is going to help kind of lead people out of the darkness. So it's reversing your perceived darkness as the devil. The devil knows God the best, right? The closer you get to God, the closer the devil gets on your heels and gets to you. Because the way out of divinity that the devil took to fall is the same way back in if you reverse it, right? It's just that same path, right? The moon is the shadowy feminine aspect of the sun, and then the hermit, and that feels so. The full, damn, you got some major arcanas going on here. Yeah, you got big moves to make here on this divine path, and you're going to be making them with your divine counterpart, right? You could have already met somebody, or you're very close to meeting somebody who you could maybe collaborate on this endeavor that is going to be very healing for the collective, for you as individuals, for your community, and for the collective. But I was thinking about the moon is not the devil, right? Or is it? If you're talking about, you know, primitive man looking up at the sky and calling the sun God, right? Which is why astrology is linked to all religious references, because that's our most primitive concept of, you know, personifying things that we can't understand, and then creating some sort of story out of them, creating parables, creating tales out of them. But I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings, where they're talking about Aragorn, and the hobbits are talking about Aragorn, and Frodo says, I think some, you know, he would feel much fairer and fouler. Like fairer as in, the devil has this sort of, or, you know, Sauron and just the dark forces have this more feminine energy, right? Don't come at the ladies, but there is that sort of, because it's closer, because feminine energy is closer to, it is hermit energy, it's more reclusive, it's more inclusive, it's more, you know, it receives, right? So it can very easily shift in the shadow aspect of itself, can shift into being a taker, right? Receiving is reciprocal, but taking is one-sided. But Aragorn's, there's something about the masculine energy there, and the sun is masculine energy, the moon is feminine energy. There's something about the unknown and the mystery of the moon and the lack of clarity, and men never know what the hell women want kind of thing, right? Mel Gibson, who I believe is a Capricorn. Hubba hubba. There's a there's something about the feminine energy that's, and then and he directs The Passion of the Christ, where a woman plays Lucifer, and that sort of like eerie fairness to the devil energy. So I could be connecting with the divine feminine, or I could be connecting with a divine masculine who's maybe second guessing the feminine aspect, or is confused, or unsure about well, there's a lot here, but the sun, let's see, yeah, this is too many, but let's just see what's going on here. Okay, but we'll keep the sun. So we have the moon, and in between is the Fool and the Hermit. So the Hermit stays, the Hermit is in their space, they don't make any moves, they don't take any leaps of faith, they're doing the work inside. If it's divine, right, the light aspect of, and this looks like Gollum, right? Something sweet when he's singing and he's crushing the fish. He's beating the fish on the ground. But there's something about the Hermit. You could be dealing with a Virgo. All right, and then we have the Fool, that's Aries and Aquarius, right? I'm doing Aquarius next. And then we have the Sun is Leo, the Moon, Cancerian, Pisces energy. There's a lot of energy here. It's all major arcana. This is the unavoidable stuff. In masculine energy, you guys are earth energy, which is feminine, but you're in a cardinal energy, and you could have been in your cardinal energy a lot, very go, 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 which for a feminine sign can quickly become a shadow aspect, right? It can become a shadow aspect of itself, because it's like you're flying down a highway, you're going really fast, you're not going to be able to stop, and you're not going to be able to see the flowers, the wildflowers that are growing, or you're not going to be able to see a bee, because you're just going to be going too fast. That cardinal energy can kind of, an object in motion stays in motion, and you guys are known for being the workaholics of the zodiac. So I don't know why I haven't eaten popcorn in a long time, but I felt like I had popcorn stuck in my throat just now. Okay, Six of Wands. This is getting recognition. And you could be in that darker feminine aspect where you've been in hermit mode for so long, where you just don't feel like you don't get the recognition that you could have a Virgo placement, but you don't feel like you're getting the recognition that you deserve. You know how hard you've been working, and then Six of Wands can also be about working for yourself. So this is, career is woven into love. When you're talking about a divine path, it's all about your divine purpose. You could have quit something, left a job, gone out on your own, and you could be your own boss right now, right? Maybe you're starting something online. Wands can be about magic, they can be about the internet, right? Imagine if you were in a coma for the last 50 years and you woke up and you're like, the internet would feel like sorcery. Yeah, see the moon, they're dancing, but they're tied on strings. So something else, there's some kind of unseen force that's been pulling the strings here. And if there's any kind of addiction, if there's any kind of attachment, if you've been in any type of karmic, toxic relationships, been around lower vibrational energy, it feels like that's been pulling your strings, and that's been not the guiding light that you are moving into, which is going to bring in your divine counterpart. See, these people they're dancing, but there's no strings there, and there's no clothes either, right? Could be dealing with a Libra. I only say that because Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen, is a Libra. And it's funny, for years I thought he was a Leo, because he looks like a Leo. He has the jawline of a Leo. But he's a Libra. So, which is about justice, balance, right? It can be about karma. It's also about the dual aspects of dark and light, right? Coming into balance. Divine timing. And they're, a cardinal sign as well. Are they? No, is that your polarity? No, your polarity is Cancer. Well, that's the moon as well, but either way, cardinal energy is, it's about fire, it's about passion, it's about self-starting, it's about leadership. But in a divine union, oh man, I feel like, so we have 5 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles. That's your energy in lack. That's your earth energy, and that's your fire energy. I keep wanting to say water. So that's in lack. You may need to drink water. There's the Ace of Cups, the World, fixed energy. All right, fixed water is Scorpio, which is about endings. Knight of Swords. For Frodo. This is very that's the moon energy. Something is charging in. So with the moon and the Knight of Swords, I get Chariot energy. You could be moving out of a toxic relationship, right? With the 5 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles, that's blocked energy, that's fighting, that's a long battle. This person is on crutches. I mean, there's wounded warrior, very much wounded warrior. Could be military. You could have grown up in a military home, have a military parent, but there's something about this. Like, look at these people are just aimlessly hitting each other. And instead, right, if they have the Ace of Wands, if they have a new ignited leader that brings in the torch and says, guys, stop fighting each other, right? There's something about bringing peace and harmony. Could be to your family, right? As divine beings, right? We're divine leaders. We are the cycle breakers. That could bring you into the 6 of Wands. You could be showing everyone how to bring peace and harmony into the collective on a grand scale for sure, but it does feel a little bit local, like your household, right? This is it could be children as well. These kind of look like kids who are, little idiots. You're just kind of like, hey kids. So you could be working with kids, maybe kids in the system, right? Maybe you have kids and you're going to do it differently. There's that Page of Wands, right? So here's the Page of Wands that's coming in and going, I have a message. I have a message from the king. And it's this wand. Follow me. So there could be some sending messages. Also, with the wands being online, there could be blocked energy. You could be blocked from somebody, right? What did you do to get blocked? No, you could just be blocked. The passions could be blocked. The power could be blocked. The power could be blocked. Hierophant, you could be dealing with a Taurus. Okay, so this page, typically the page is, they're the messenger of the king, right? But there's no kings here, right? So you could be the king, right? You're usurping the throne, right? You are the god of this world, which is how Satan is referred to in the Bible. I'm not well versed enough to quote scripture, but if I recall from my years of attending church growing up, then yeah, there's something about, and it's God. He's the ruler of the underworld, but this is kind of it. This is the world, right? The world that we're currently in is heaven and hell. Heaven is a place on earth, and then hell on earth. It's all here. But I feel like the devil is like the shadow aspects. It can be the unseen, and it can refer to substances, the tangible, the 3D, things that we can touch and feel, things of the ego, things of the physical world, and then God is the illumination and the knowing of the unseen, right? Which is, kind of that flip, that duality, because the sun is very physical, right? You can feel the warmth of the sun. You can obviously see it. It illuminates the moon. The only time that you can see the moon is because the sun is shining, right? Somewhere. So when you can't see the light of God, the light of, maybe you grew up in a very religious upbringing, right? Or maybe you lean more towards atheism, or agnostic, because religion just always seemed kind of absurd to you, because it's very conditional, versus being spirituality is unconditional. It's relative. It's everybody's individual experience is true, right? So what one person calls God, another person might call the devil, and vice versa. And but there are and there's a lot of toxic, lower vibrational things that happen within religious forces. They hide within the forces of good, and they appear to be doing good, but then the kids are just sort of, there's something about kids, the children being like victims. I don't like that. But you might not like that either. And so maybe you're stepping up and you're saying, no, that's not what we're doing here. 20 minutes. Okay, let me get the Empress. Alright. Again, more Taurus and Libra energy. So I'm getting a lot of Taurus and Libra energy with these last couple cards here as confirmation. So you definitely could be, just a moment. Okay, I had to switch this blanket that I have on this chair because it is really uncomfortable. All right, so we have the Star, the Devil, and the Empress again. Page of Swords. You could be watching someone that you see as being the Empress. And they could have had some, you could have as well, but they could have had some sexual trauma growing up. But you've got major arcanas all over the place. This is, which is funny because you have major arcanas in the dark deck. And then you have minors in the golden foil, which just seems kind of ironic, right? It's the moon glows when you can't see the sun. And I love that point whenever you go outside kind of at that earlier time of day and the sun is up and the moon is still out and you can see both hanging in the sky at the same time. And then Earth is in between. So there's the sun, the moon, there's that in between. There's something in between mediator, mediumship. You could be a medium and maybe that's what the Hierophant is. So you could be getting more into out of your cardinal energy and more into your earth energy, which is going to kind of put you into, it's more feminine energy, right? The Hermit, Virgo, and then double Empress and the Hierophant, Taurus energy, right? That's 3. That's the true Holy Trinity of the Devil's kingdom is the physical, right? And so you're sort of mediating this unholy Trinity and the Holy Trinity, what some people might see as being like past experiences, substance use, all of this devil energy. Right, you guys get such a bad rap for just being the devil. Like this is all you get in tarot. This is this is what they call you. This guy's fucking creepy. But I feel like that's not you. And maybe you were told you were a bad child, unruly child. And so growing up you were sort of like, well, if I'm going to be called that, I might as well just play the part. And so maybe that's where you got into that cardinal energy. That's where you maybe left. Maybe you got in the car and you just sped the fuck away from everything that you grew up around. Ace of Pentacles, the Lover, and the Hanged Man. So the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. This is about new beginnings, and that's that water energy I was getting. So when you get back into when you shift, and you could be doing this, you could have already done this, you know, you can tell me wherever you are, not free will, but free will. That's really the only determining factor of a lower and a higher vibration. Free will. Nobody's actually pulling the strings. We are the rulers of our own strings. Like in those old movies where you can see the strings. It's false, right? But in reality, in the truth, the knowing, the divine reality is there are no strings. And yeah, you have there's a lot of mixed messages here. And maybe you engaged with this Empress energy. I'm definitely speaking to a more masculine energy. You could be a woman in your masculine energy, right? I'm definitely speaking more to the cardinal energy. You could have engaged with this Empress And that's that Page of Swords that was coming out. Somebody's watching this person now, or trying to watch them, trying to get in contact with them. And that's why there's a lot of, like, how do you can't really speak your truth, right? There's a lot of talk in the gospel, in church, where there's that, it's a lot of talk, but there's something about action, right? We have the Lovers here, and then the snake is biting this masculine entity. But is this like Adam and Eve? Did she lure him in? Because she kind of looks like she's unsuspecting of what's going on. She's just enjoying it. And so it's like, does he know that he's doing something wrong? Maybe you are creeping on somebody. Maybe you are, Page of Swordsing somebody. You could be watching this person. Maybe you try to engage with them, or you don't know how to engage with them because you think that they're going to perceive you as the devil. And so the Hangman is looking at something in a different perspective. The Hangman's also just waiting, right? This is Pisces, water energy. This is waiting, though. See that timepiece hanging on his heels? That's the devil, right? The devil is on your heels. The closer you get to God, the devil's nipping at your heels. That reminds me of Pet Sematary, where he cuts the Achilles. That fucked me up. I did not like that scene at all. So he cut the heels, and then he eats his throat, right? The throat chakra. So it's like the root and the throat. There's something about releasing, letting go, and speaking the truth, speaking your truth, right? If you were raised in a very conditional way, you could feel like your truth is not going to be accepted because it's going to be perceived as too dark, or too, it's not going to be perceived as by this divine person. But if this is your divine counterpart, they're totally going to get it. You probably won't even have to talk that much. You're just going to kind of nod and know each other very well, like you've been looking for each other. That's that sense where it's talk is cheap, right? It's a whole lot of talking, but also like hypocrisy. There's a lot of hypocrisy. So maybe because you've come out of a very dark place, maybe because you've come out of a very dark place, you might not feel like you have a leg to stand on, right? With the crutches and the ankles being nipped at here, you might also feel like, I don't want to be a hypocrite, but you're not a hypocrite because you've made the decision to not do that stuff anymore, right? You've cleansed your energy. And if you haven't, that's your advice. Cleanse your energy, right? Do some root chakra work and eliminate, eliminate the burden, the anger, right? If you couldn't express yourself, someone's like don't jump down my throat. Eating the throat is that guy a pastor or a preacher or some kind of, I don't remember what he is. Or is he just the first Pet Cemetery, the real deal? And then the child eats his throat. But there is that sort of, shove it down my throat. Talking about children and preachers. Yeah, there's some kind of, there's a lot of like grotesque, truly devil energy in maybe your idea of religion, and maybe that has interfered with your spiritual path, because anything, like if you hear the sound of God, you're like, I don't want to fucking hear that. I don't want to, I don't want to hear any of that. And if you think about, you know, the comparable parable of, you know, God and the devil, like, this is a conditional God here who's kicking one of his kids out, right? So you could have been kicked out, or you left just because the rules were so conditional that you were brought up in. And so maybe you weren't brought up religiously, but there is like a military, very simple, close-minded way of thinking, and it's like you don't want anything to do with that. So maybe just you were like, you know, these people are gross. These people are wrong. They're taking money. You know, they're taking money from their people, and it's just wrong. Like, it just felt wrong to you. And so anything that even resembled religion or God and the devil and all of that energy is just, the nomenclature of it could be really off-putting to you, right? Because you don't want to be held down by nomenclature. You're unidentifiable. You're not. It's like, oh, we don't know what to call Capricorn. We're just going to call him the devil. It's like, okay. So you could be dealing with a Leo as well, right? So if it's like that sun aspect. But it's, so maybe that's been a struggle, because I do feel this is a struggle. This reading is a struggle for me to get these words out, and I'm almost reluctant to say things like God, and it just kind of feels gross. Because you know about the collective, you know about the collective and what the world needs. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's the only thing that there's just too little of. And that's the thing, it's like growing up in church, the preachers, pastors, reverends, whatever, you know, denomination you were around or you're familiar with, they are all God's love, God's undying, unconditional love. But then everywhere that you look, the Christians or the especially Catholicism, that's just linked to a lot of shame and a lot of weird shit. It's very political. And so, yeah, maybe you were just really off-put by that, because you're like, that's not love. That doesn't feel like love. I just watched Closer with Natalie Portman, Jude Law, Julie Roberts, and Clive Owen. I still need to look up what Julie Roberts is. I've looked up what she is. I keep forgetting, though, what she is. But that's Gemini. That's your lover's energy. Natalie Portman is a Gemini. Is he a Capricorn? Jude Law? I think he might be a Capricorn. I think he's early January. Clive Owen is Aquarius, and then whatever Julia Roberts is. But anyway, in Closer, she's Natalie Portman's character, the lover, right, the Gemini, is saying, like, I don't see this love. Show it to me. Where is it? I can't touch it. I can't feel it. And so you could be struggling, the masculine, if you're the feminine, right, your masculine counterpart is struggling to figure out how to show you love, because they were never shown unconditional love. So they are kind of at a loss for words, because they know that talk is cheap, right? And they could be coming out of this secular, I'll throw that term in there, secular, right, behavior of maybe addiction, maybe casual sex, maybe because it's like, oh, I'm not getting what I want, I'm not getting true authentic connection. If you were raised by cold, disconnected parents and you were in a group of religious upbringing or conditional, simple-minded, closed-minded individuals, black and white, box-like thinking, then it's like, well, I might as well, right? Like, if they're going to call me a devil, right? If this is what's around me, then I might as well just blend in. I'm not going to get what I actually desire, what I want. And then if you're raised by that type of energy, then you don't believe that you're worthy of anything else. It's hard to dream when you're not connected with God, right? And your God is going to be different than my God, right? And a lot like Heaven with Kate, not Beckinsale or Winslet, Kate Hudson, Goldie Hawn, Scorpio and Pisces. Her dad is not a Pisces, though. Maybe he is, but her dad is not Kirk Douglas. Anyway, she meets God in the beginning of that movie, and she has colon cancer, and she's put under, and she's talking to God, and God is Whoopi Goldberg, and so she's like, "Oh, are you God?" And Whoopi's like, "No, this is just how you want to see me," right? I think we create our reality. We are the gods of our universe, of our solar system, our chakra system, our solar system. We are the center of our universe, right? We are made of the same stuff that our external solar system is, as without, so within, right? We are the star seeds, baby. And so it's how, if we see God as a, whatever, three-headed dog, then we might be in Harry Potter. Then that's, if we see God as a talking dog, then that's then we're right. We're right. There's a difference between being right and being righteous, right? And being right is like, to be right, it's like somebody has to be wrong. But to be righteous is to just, it's just to be right within your own reality, within your own world, right? So there's every single religion. I'm a relativist, right? So everybody is right. If they believe that what they're doing is right, then they're right. Now, the issue is you talk to people long enough and they will tell you that what they're doing, they know what they're doing is wrong, and yet they still do it. So they are in their devil energy. They're not wrong because they're doing something different than I am doing it. They're doing it because they're doing something differently than how they know they need to be doing it, right? To be in their own truth, right? They're living a lie. They're inauthentic. And looking at this High Priestess here, right? Again, more Pisces energy, third eye. But they look burned, right? The moon energy as well. This deck is full of moons, but it's burned from my sage or incense or something. But yeah, this High Priestess looks like that, like covering their heart space, right? And the sun, Leo energy, is ruled by the heart and solar plexus chakra. Solar plexus, the inspiration, our breath, and then the heart space, right? The heart space is it's yellow and green, it's bright, it's growth, it's expansive, it's our child, our inner child. The center of our universe is our heart, following your heart. But if you have this sort of misconception about God, or if you were brought up with God being something in a box, then yeah, you may have turned your heart space off. You may be guarding your heart space. And the high priestess is connected with God force, with the universe, right? With higher source knowing, right? Which is also inner knowing. So that's the connection there. There's some kind of disconnect. And with the pet cemetery thing, it could be with the throat chakra, right? There's something about being afraid to speak your truth because other people told you. Maybe it was blasphemy. Don't say that. That's blasphemy. And you're like, no, every religion is right. They're not. The practitioners of those religions, not so much, because they twist it. They twist it for their own political and financial gain and power. Secular power, individual power, versus spirituality, which is all about collective power. And that there is, it's like, I'm just going to stand up here and talk, and you put money in that bin, and this might be a very triggering reading if you stuck around this long, just because if you did grow up in this environment, then, but just know that this is blocking you, and your person has the same concept of God, the universe, and all this nomenclature, you take all the nomenclature away, and the feeling of God, feeling of the devil, right, wrong, good, evil, dark, light, all of these things, they're going to be untainted nomenclature, because you two are going to be so linked in your truth. It's going to be so mutual and shared that you'll be you'll be unstoppable for sure. But there's no division with the divine, right? Even though it sounds kind of close. But we have strength, 10 of Wands, there's that 10 of Wands, that's you coming out of, doing this bullshit. King of Wands, looking away from the Magician. This is you walking out of that fire energy, right? You're rising up out of that hellfire that somebody else put you in. Somebody else said that you belong there, and you're like, I don't belong there. And when you come up out of that and you go, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not wrong. I'm not blasphemous. I'm not the devil. I'm an angel. And I'm here to help save the world with the actual truth. The truth being that we are all connected, and that there shouldn't be division. And there is no box. It's all a sphere, right? And so it's like, that term, glow up. But this is a true, internal, external, divine collective, breaking the cycles of ostracization and segregation. And this is bringing people together, showing people how to cut their strings, and or telling people there are no strings. The strings are an illusion, right? When you do cord cutting, you're literally just doing, you're cutting cords that aren't even there, but they're here because someone told us that they were here, right? When you disconnect from family members, people are like, oh my gosh, but that's your family, that's your blood. And it's like, that's here, right? We're all connected anyway. We're all of the same stuff anyway. So what's the difference between me not talking to my mom and me not talking to this person over here who robbed me in a dark alley? And I'm like, what's the difference? Both try to take from my energy, right? Both waited like a predator to catch me in the dark so that they could be a vampire and take from me. What does blood have to do with it? Yeah, you could feel like an orphan. You could be working with kids in the system. You could be maybe wanting to do foster care. Oh, that would be fantastic. Maybe you and this divine counterpart, you might adopt or foster or work with kids, and show them that there's a different way of loving the God within, the God without, right? However they want to view God, and live their truth to the fullest. And nobody is going to be around. You're not going to let anybody in because you're going to be very protective, right? The horns there. There's that Taurus energy again too, like, or Aries. You might be dealing with someone that has horns, someone that's very protective, and that's not going to let anybody, any energy come in. What is that, Salvia Hexa in Harry Potter, where they go around and they are constantly, so maybe saging, right? You might need more protection as you're working through this. And that's internal and external, because other people are not going to like it, other energies are not going to like it, that you're having this glow up, right? Especially if you're doing it online where people can see it, or you start speaking out about this, it's going to ruffle some feathers. People are not going to like it. But that's their fucking problem. And you're divinely protected, right? You may need to create a mantra of protection and, continue to work any spells of protection, right? No spell casting on anybody else, because that's demonic, right? But when you're manifesting, when you're calling in divine partnership, when you're calling in your divine path, that's the magician here. You're just worried about your home, your house, your home, your box, right? I'm just worried about my space. My space. Let's not bring that back. Maybe you're deleting, social media accounts. Maybe starting a new social media account, something completely fresh. And it's going to be a completely different content that you share than you did before. Because this is going to be your truth, and it's going to piss people off. It's going to upset. Yeah, see, they don't want me saying this. People, the true devil, right? That true devil energy, that vampiric, parasitic, low vibrational energy, the liar, is not going to like that you've realized this power and that you are ready to create this reality of truth. And then it's going to shift. It's going to shift people into realizing, oh, you're not trapped. You have free will. Remember that? You have free will. So get off the media, get off the media's tit, because that's just a bunch of fear-mongering and lies to divide us, right? Especially if you grew up in a military home, that patriotism is so blind of just saying, I'm going to fight for this side or that side, because that's where I came from, right? And if that translates into your family of siblings, like if you have a narcissistic parent, right, the siblings will also join in on that. There's always the flying monkey, there's always the scapegoat, there's other entities around, and the cycle breaker is just kind of left observing all of this chaos, and trying to find a way out of that is like leaving the hellfire, going out of that, right? And see, this King of Wands, this is your cardinal energy, right? You're going to tap into that feminine energy, but this is your masculine cardinal energy that's going to lead the children out, right? Leading the children out safely. Also, Jim Caviezel, he is a Libra. I think so. I think he's a Libra. Anyway, he is, he's in that movie, what is it? The Sound of Freedom. I haven't finished it because it was on Prime and then it was off Prime, or my Prime, I stopped paying for Prime or whatever because I was just watching movies too much, and I was I watch a lot of movies. But I was oh, I'm just gonna stop watching these because I have a stack of DVDs that now I'm going through, old movies and stuff that I'm going through, and I'm, ripping onto files and everything like that. So I can let go of that weight, and I can just have it digitally with me. But it was just too easy to watch stuff. So anyway, I didn't finish it. That's the end. But it's about him aiding in the recovery and rescue of child trafficking. So maybe you're going to be getting into something like that, or you've got eyes on a situation, like you've just got eyes on something that is so deceptive that people are glorifying, right? Maybe it's Disney World. Or land, either one. But maybe you're tapping into something like that, or you've been done tapped into it, and you're gonna start talking out about it. People are not gonna like that, because it's gonna be like the false idol that people have been worshiping is actually the devil, right? And you're gonna be like, no, this is big stuff. This is big stuff. This is major arcanas all over the fucking place. This is unavoidable. This is why you're here. This is why you were incarnated. This is why you were floating around wherever your little particles were, and you were like, I think I want to go to that shithole. And I want to just ruffle some feathers. I want to flip that whole reality on its ass. And that's your strength. That's your strength. Like, no one's going to be able to mess with you. You know this. Like, you're the devil in the light sense. So you are, I don't want to keep pulling this one up just because he looks like a real shitbag. But the star, also with Libra and the Empress energy, double Empress energy, they're ruled by Venus. And Venus is what earlier man used to call Lucifer, right? And so if you track the astrological comparison, is it compromise? The Bible is comprised of astrological parables, right? It's personified. It's astrology personified. It's the cosmos personified. But Lucifer falls, right? Because Venus falls to earth, and then the sun rises. The Son of God, Jesus rises. So there's a whole storyline about that and the resurrection and why it times up with December 25th, which would make, ironically, Jesus a Capricorn. So Jesus would be the devil in tarot. But anyway, so there's something about the star, Venus, right? And that's love, baby. That's love. This is real love. This is big capital letter love. Like, not all this shit that everyone tosses around, this 4-letter word that they've just turned into, just, they devalued it so much. It's been devalued so much. This is, you and this person, you and your divine counterpart are going to shake all of this up, but you are going to, the devil again. Yeah, you've been in karmic connections a lot. It started with your family, and then you were with people who just didn't get you. So you never got to get to your full power because you were sort of just perceived as a lower vibration. They didn't want to hear it. Maybe you rustled their feathers by dropping some truth bombs on them. Because that's real love. Real love is about telling the truth, even when the truth is hard. And that takes strength. This is your strength. This is your power, is your ability to cut the shit and tell people how it really is and what's going to benefit them. What's going to benefit them in a divine way? What's going to benefit their highest good. And it's just easier it's easier in general. It's just easier to not do good for ourselves, right? Unless somebody cares a whole lot. The Lorax, how bad can I be? Is that a Dr. Seuss reference again? Was that with you, or was that with Sagittarius before you? With the flowers. Anyway, yeah, Thneedville. See, they feel like Thneedville feels like it's this wonderful place, but they're fucking charging these people for air. And you were like, no, like prana is free, baby. Like, you don't have to pay for that. It's free. And, let's just plant some trees. And so, yeah, you're wrestling the beast. You're getting in there. It's a beast. Whatever, maybe you're taking down a corporation, but you're creating something. That's more important, is that you create a space of truth so that people have a place to go. Maybe you're attracted to this because you are vegan, right? Which is a whole other beast of industries that are lying and deceiving the populace. And we're all just consuming fear and slaughter, and we're consuming this slavery, and we're consuming hormones and pus and blood, and we're basically cannibalizing innocence. So there's something about protecting the innocent, activism. You're somebody's are not going to like this, because this is divine as fuck. But that's breaking the chains, and sometimes when you're a chain breaker, it takes a lot of strength to break a chain, right? You gotta get in there and you gotta pry that chain off your neck. You're gonna be people. It's easier for people to believe a lie than to believe the truth, right? To try and convince people that they have been fooled. People don't want to be a fool. So even if that means staying a fool, they will just stay there, because then to admit it means, oh, I have to make a lot of changes. And then once you see it, there's no going back. Once you see the truth, it's like, oh. And if you've been dealing with this your whole life, if you've kind of seen the bullshit since you were a little kid, you've just been bombarded constantly. And that's that hermit energy. Maybe you've just been in that hermit energy for a while, where you're like, I don't want to go out there anymore. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to talk to people. They just don't get it. And that's very exhausting. But that's your strength, that's your purpose, and you can either rise to that purpose, or you can stay in hermit mode and succumb to the power of the ring. And then guess where you end up? No spoilers here, but if you've watched Lord of the Rings, follow Gollum's journey. All right, because yeah. But you've got the stuff. I mean, it's happening. Major Arcana. This is unavoidable. This is what you're doing, and the person that you are calling in. And if you do have any fear around pursuing them as the masculine, I mean, it's easier said than done. But just don't have fear. Don't have fear, because you know how powerful you are, and you're tapped into the truth. So you know that anybody that you attract at this vibration is only going to be part of that. And if they're not, they fall away very quickly, because they're not going to have any part of this if they don't have strength. So yeah, do you, boo-boo. Like, do what you're doing, continue it, and keep that strength. And even though the parasites will come in, they don't like the sun. Parasites don't live in the sunlight. They live in the dark. They like to live in the damp, wet, dirty areas. They lurk in the shadows. So, you are actually the sun, right? You are the God of this world. You are the God of your own world. And, I mean, that's it. That's all. You're just like doing major collective shifts here. That's all. All right, well, I'm very interested to follow on this journey. If you have any input, if this resonated, please let me know. Let's piss people off in the comments, and we'll talk soon. I wish you well.